All right, so I'm gonna show you how to make your very own homemade apple boxes. Miscellaneous boxes like this, known as apple boxes, are very useful in production. If you're doing homemade productions like I do, you don't wanna spend hundreds of dollars on these things, but they're really easy and cheap to make yourself. So I'm gonna show you how I made mine. All right, so I made these out of one single piece of plywood. This is 1/2-inch plywood. The way they're arranged makes them pretty sturdy, so you can set a lot of stuff on these. So it's just wood and screws, nothing else. So these aren't actually the standard apple box sizes. They're slightly smaller. This just fit the piece of wood that I had a little bit better. So you can adapt, you can make them a slightly different size, but it kind of made more sense with the piece of wood I had to measure it this way. So in production terms, this is known as a full apple, and this is a 1/2 apple. The only difference in these is the height. So they're both the same width and length. So I'll put the measurements in the description as well. But basically this is 2 feet across. That's both of them are 2 feet across and 1 foot wide. That's it. So it's a perfect rectangle. These tops and bottoms are the same, like I said. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 identical pieces. Super easy. And then just the side pieces are slightly different, making this one taller and this one shorter. Here's the main thing you got to keep in mind. When you're measuring these out, these side pieces, like where the handles are gonna be, you need to be a little bit shorter because you want them to not come out over the edge of this, you want them to sit under it. So the width of your wood needs to be accounted for. So in this case, this wood is 1/2 inch. So instead of being the full 12 inches across, this middle piece needs to lose a 1/2 inch and lose a 1/2 inch. So I'm losing a whole inch. So that means when I was measuring this piece, I was just making it 11 inches instead of the full 12. So that way it can sit underneath and give it that full 12 inches. Okay, that makes sense? And then the side pieces, of course, are the same length. Let's see, what are they? The 2 long side pieces on this side are 8 inches. So that's 2 of those, 1 for each side. And then on this side, I've got 4 inches. It's exactly half. 2 of those, 2 of those. All right, so that's all your pieces. All right, so here are all the measurements again for the sides of the full apple. Be sure to write these down. You're gonna have to draw these lines out on your wood, but of course you make 2 of each. Now, if you are gonna go ahead and make the 1/2 apple while you're at it, you can duplicate all of these, but the side pieces are not 8 inches, they're half that, they're 4 inches. So these are all the pieces you need to make a full apple and a 1/2 apple all at once. I used just a skill saw and just cut my straight line right across. If you're a kid, please have an adult help you with this. I don't want you cutting your fingers off. That would be very sad. All right, so I wanted to make handles on the sides of these like apple boxes usually do, so they're a little bit easier to grab and move around. So I started with a spade drill bit to cut 2 holes. These are just 1-inch holes. This is one of these little bits that looks like this. It's called a spade bit. So I just went ahead and drilled a hole on this side and a hole on this side. Then that way I could use a jigsaw and just cut a straight line in between them. So I did that on both sides long ways. All right, so since the top and bottom piece are the longest, they go all the way over the edge. That makes them really sturdy. But that also means that we can screw our screws straight down into the other piece of wood. We don't really need any other kind of support than that. All right, so I think I started with just putting up like 2 sides and placing the top piece on the top, and then kind of just holding it in place, and then just screwing these screws right down the top. I just like spaced them out in a way that seemed like it made sense. There's just 1 in the middle and then 2 more on the side. Same thing here, I just did 1 in the middle and then I did 2 more on each side, straight down. So once you start screwing them in, it becomes more and more solid. Then you can put the other sides in, and then you do your other side, you just flip it on over, put your top on, screw straight down in all the sides. You know, don't go in too far, you're gonna miss the piece of wood. You know how thick it is, it's a 1/2 inch. So you wanna make sure you get right in there so it's going into the other piece of wood. I also sanded all of the edges because this plywood can be pretty sharp, especially on the handles. So I just took a piece of sandpaper and just rubbed out all the edges and especially the corners so it's not all sharp and gonna give you splinters and stuff. So it's not like the smoothest thing, but it's pretty decent for just handling. You could paint these matte black like I usually do, or just leave them wood, and you know, I put my logo on here so everyone knows that these are my apple boxes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, so that's how I did it. I hope that's helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions, and be sure to subscribe for more DIY videos and some more parody videos, and my weekly series Costume Swap, which is every Monday. All right, I'll see you soon.